Hey everyone, and welcome back. So we just spoke briefly about exporting our designs, showing off our beautiful design work and stuff like that. But really that's not what's going to get you a job. People are going to hire you as a UX, UI designer, product designer, whatever you want to call that position. They want to hire you for your brain, not just because you can create beautiful designs, but because you can think through different types of problems and come up with great solutions. Now, what's the best way to show that? It's through an actual website or a portfolio site that you can hand off after an interview or before an interview or during an interview. It's the best way for you to get yourself a position. And when you show off your work on your website or your portfolio, you don't want to just show imagery. You want to talk about what you did on that specific project. What was the problem? Maybe the type of research that you conducted, your process. I can't stress how important process is. If you just showed how you got to the end, nobody's going to hire you for a good position. People really want to know what you did in order to get to the end. So let's take a look at a bunch of different portfolio sites that I have here that are actually done really well. I mean, you'll notice that this one over here by Vandana Pai is very, very simple. She's a senior product designer at Spotify. And literally only 3 projects she's chosen. And if you look at them, they're not flashy, really. I mean, there's nothing really crazy going on here, but you can tell there's different types of interactions that she wants to talk about, different types of problems she wants to talk about. And she's kind of broken them up into these things that we call like case studies. And that is the approach that I definitely would take and I've taken in the past. And it's been incredibly successful for me. And it's been incredibly successful for colleagues I've worked with in the past. So let's jump right in. So as you can tell, it's very simple portfolio website, only work and about we have up here. If we go into like reading this case study, we're going to jump right in. We can see like what date it was, the name of the case study. You see how they've kind of like laid out all the different types of kind of components that they've designed over here. I don't know what this means yet, but it's very kind of visually interesting. So they have this big statement over here, providing feedback like markups and commenting is a key use case for collaboration, but this functionality was limited in Box. How could we increase engagement and promote the feedback loop in Box? I led the redesign to extend our feature set to allow users to create annotations. So already, right off the bat, she's told us what the problem is, what she's planned to do, what her kind of role is. So she's the lead and solo designer for discovery, research, design, animation, and testing. She's also listed the entire team. So if people want to kind of maybe reach out to these people afterwards, but it also gives credit. It shows that, projects, we rarely kind of work on them alone. Even though you may be the solo designer, there's so many other people on that project that kind of lend their hand, and it's good to give credit where credit is due. If a developer came up with a solution and you helped them get there, that's perfect. Or maybe you want to mention that you and the developer really worked closely to build empathy across the team for your user base. So, I mean, this really kind of lets the person know who's viewing this that, you're a team player, you have a certain role within that product team, and they know exactly what you've done on this project, not just showing them like a screenshot like this and expecting one of us or the viewer to kind of come up with that. So we have a little quick animation here, just showcasing the interactions that are happening, which is really nice. So you can do that with any type of screen recorder like ScreenFlow. You can even use like Figma to help record this, and you can cut that down with something like ScreenFlow. So once again, you have like the problem statement, and then she starts to write about it a little bit more in depth, and she's showing different portions of her solution and with little annotations on the bottom, just explaining the actual annotation that she came up with. So here we go. Once again, just talking about creating annotation. We have different types of annotations. So this is a really, really good way to show off a case study. Once again, we also have research, exploring all that kind of stuff. Process, we dive deep into her general way that she iterated and got from point A all the way to like maybe point B over here. So this is really a great way to show that, you didn't just jump straight to high fidelity or you just didn't settle on one solution. You had a solution and you kind of worked on it. This is another perfect example of that. You have your V1 and the reasons they didn't work. and then you got eventually to an MVP that you were happy with. If you could see, like, look at this V1 all the way to the MVP. Lots has changed, and she showed me what exactly went wrong with each type of prototype and how she kept on iterating in order to get to the MVP and then eventually over time to the final. So this is definitely an amazing way to show off your work. It's really in depth. It shows me that you are thinking about a lot of different things here and not just about like beautiful designs. So here's Costas Kouroulis, and she's a product designer, or I'm not sure if it's a she or he, but they're a product designer currently working on a developer experience at Stripe. So another big company. Once again, not a lot of projects. There's several projects here. They have an archive, but their big projects are at the top. So let's go into, I think this is pronounced Cujo, the home internet security. I like this nice little GIF going on over here. So let's go right into here. And one thing you'll notice with these websites, they're very simple. So once again, like the role, maybe a little bit of the problem use case around this, the results. So this person is an actual product designer where they're also developing possibly physical products. So this is for the Cujo app. And once again, just going through what is happening with this application, what they plan to do with it. They have these screenshots using like just the mock-ups just to kind of help represent and better display their work. And once again, like sometimes some things are out of mockups. I mean, it doesn't really matter what you choose, but one thing I really like is they're kind of taking me through their process. They're taking me through the flow here. So also bringing out their design system a bit more and explaining the reasoning behind that. And, you know, easy way to get through another project. We'll go through one more. This is Ryan Scott. So Ryan Scott is another designer who worked for some pretty big companies. Here we have Airbnb, DoorDash. Like, look, once again, they're just giving you a really quick understanding of the project. It doesn't have to be like crazy with their interactions. As you can tell, these people are really established. They're really good in their field. They don't need to sell you on crazy interactions on their website. Nobody really does. Your work should really do the talking for you. So they have something simple here. And if you're really into writing, like on something like Medium, people often kind of post their articles and what they're doing. If you have talks that you want to kind of showcase, you can do that here as well. So we'll just pick on one project here. So big statement over here, setting Airbnb up for its next decade of growth. So it just said something like mobile experience for Airbnb. Like, that's cool. I mean, that's a big name, but tell me a little bit more. Get me excited about what I'm about to see. So nice placement of an image. We have the challenge statement, his approach. So like this one's even broken down to like the way he specifically approached everything. We have some solutions here. So a simpler, unified checkout flow. And like I said, designs don't need to be crazy, flashy. They don't need to be like out of this world. I mean, at the end of the day, designs need to be functional and they need to solve a problem. And there's a reason why so many people use certain types of apps, because it's just that they make their interactions and their micro interactions really, really delightful. They make the designs really easy to use. They aren't bogged down by certain things. So this is an example of that. So we have the old iOS approach, the old mobile web approach, and then this is the new approach entirely. So really simple. And that's what I really want to showcase here is that, you know, all these people, they have all these different types of projects they want to showcase, and they aren't necessarily showing like 40 different projects. They're showing 1, 2, or 3, and they're showing like real work, not glorified work or anything like that. That's kind of like propped up and like just for visual aesthetics. They're actually showing you their entire process, what was before and what you replaced it with. They're even showing their Figma components here that they've created for like a design system. So, I mean, they're actually showing you their process. And what I really liked over here, especially with this one, is like just showing the versions and the building up of that, showing you that, you know, they had something before, and over time, over the course of a project, through feedback and iteration, they finally got to like an MVP that they launched and then iterated on to get their final. So when you approach a case study, don't think about it as just showing off like beautiful work. Show off your process. Tell me the challenge of the project, tell me your role in the project, tell me your approach, your process, tell me how you got to certain solutions, and maybe tell me what the old solutions look like, why this one's better, show me the research. I want to know everything. I want to know what you did. That'll give me a good understanding that, hey, this person is very thoughtful. They're an incredibly thoughtful designer. They're thinking about everything. They're showing me everything. They are thinking about all the different types of ways that this solution can be successful. So go out there, create great content for your portfolio website, and just be very mindful of the type of things that you put on there, because this kind of stuff is incredibly powerful for somebody who comes in for like a design position. I would definitely hire somebody like this, even if the design's not necessarily beautiful, because you can teach that kind of stuff. That's all very trendy and it's all trend based, but you can't really like teach somebody to be really passionate about very successful solution. You can teach somebody that, but it takes a long time, and this is just very, very, very thorough work. So be very thoughtful as a designer.